there's lots of things we tend to do to stop ourselves from feeling that pain, when actually we need to allow ourselves to feel, but it's part of the grieving process. It's going to catch up with you anyway. So if you're feeling sad, or you're feeling whatever emotion you're feeling, feel it, release it, let it out. It's a dead center. So I specialise in loss, so bereavements, obviously all forms of grief as well. So grief is so many different things. So yeah, divorce, end of a relationship, abuse, financial issues, all sorts of different things. So anything that makes believe it or not, not many people know this, but anything that makes you feel negative or creates a negative feeling or emotion is actually a grief.
Yeah, I think actually Denise mentioned this when she came to us for an interview, and she was talking about you, and she particularly seemed to be quite taken with the idea of loss of, like your own identity, or loss in a relationship. And that's not necessarily through somebody dying, it's through a loss, or like losing a job, those type, and they're all types of grief.
And being a woman, having multiple losses as a woman, like loss of your childhood virginity, she was going to say, excuse her, she's got no manners. Loss of like your childhood, loss of being like when you can't be a parent anymore, when your children leave home, like all the losses that come along with that as a woman.
I remember when I became a mum, actually, and even though it's incredible, I felt like I'd lost like myself, like before, like who I was and what I did, and and it's like you lose yourself a little bit there, don't you? But
I think that's a really common thread, and I think we are all, as women, really afraid to say that, because we think we're going to be judged by other, people who seem to be like natural moms, or like super mumsy mums who are like, at home baking and things like that, while you're thinking, oh my God, should I have done this? I think that's interesting. Yeah.
Can't go out this weekend. Oh no.
So would you say the majority of your work is in bereavement, or just is it quite general loss then?
It's quite complex, really, because I tend to find that when people come to see me, it might be for a significant life event, but then when we realise actually it's multiple life events. So someone might come to me and say they've lost, a parent, let's just say, but then they've been through a divorce, or they've got childhood trauma, and so actually once they come to me, they realise it's bigger than just that.
It's rarely one thing, isn't it?
Definitely, it's always a multiple.
Yeah,
100%.
That's interesting. Lucy, if you don't mind me, I have been on your socials and on your website, and I've had a look at your history. So you've come into this industry through your own loss. So you've lost your mother to brain cancer, is that right?
Yes.
And you also lost your stepdad. Now, was this about the same time? Because this is your journey into the deaf industry, as we, so fondly put it a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Would you mind taking us through that?
Yeah, so my mum actually, she got diagnosed with cancer when I was 18. So she actually struggled and battled with cancer for 20 years. So that was a big part of my life, really. But yeah, she died, unfortunately, from brain cancer, went to her brain in October 2015. And then a few weeks later, I found my stepfather dead. He had a heart attack. So that was literally 12 days after we buried my mum.
Oh my gosh.
And in the midst of all that.
And how old were you, sorry?
So I was only, this was 10 years ago, so I was 38.
Okay.
But my mum had cancer for 20 years, so on and off. So she battled it for a long time.
What's that noise again?
But at the same time of all that happening, me and my husband split up. So, so I was going through, I actually left my marital home on the 15th of October. My mum died 2 days later, and then my dad died 3-4 weeks later. So I had in the space of like a month,
just massive life events.
Everything, just lost my whole family unit.
Oh,
So I was completely broken. So obviously I moved out of the motorshop home, got myself, a new place, took my two daughters as well. But the pain was that overwhelming. So my children were going to see their dad every other weekend, which was a new thing again. And I would just spend them weekends drinking and partying because I couldn't cope. So I was blocking. I was just doing anything to block the pain. And it was taking me out of reality to fantasy. So in that time, I'd just go wild.
Right, okay.
And then, which wasn't good for my mental health or my physical health. And that, in fact, it was taking me into further chaos and drama and pain. But it was a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of us do it, don't we?
A lot of people reach for a drink, don't they? Or it's just part of our culture. It's turned into like, we have a drink to celebrate, we have a drink to commiserate, we have a drink because we're stressed.
Yeah. It's definitely very hard. It's a really good point that it is part of our culture. We actually don't. Yes. In fact, I was talking to a mom friend this morning and we were discussing how younger people now, so like teenagers and like young adults, they're not doing it as much as our generation did. So it was quite normal, wasn't it? I think when we were younger, we were brought up on that culture, like you said, to go out and party, but also to use it when things got really shit, when things got really bad. Absolutely. But I don't know whether it's still a crutch in the same way. I don't know that it is as much as it was for people. But I mean, what do you think within your experience? Do you still come across a lot of people using drink and drugs and things like
a lot of my clients are definitely using drink and drugs and different type of forms of substance abuse to block. Absolutely. But maybe in their childhood or teenager, so it was recreational and it was like, this is what we did, but then that becomes excessive.
So for you were using it as a tool to sort of cope with what was going on in your life.
Yeah.
What changed that? Why did you stop?
I think I got to a point. I tell you what done it, COVID, because I couldn't go out anymore. So, but I'd actually, just before COVID, actually, my real father passed away as well. And then my biological father. And I'd got to a point in my life, my divorce had just gone through because I had a 4 or 5 year battle in court. I nearly went bankrupt. That's another story. And when I got to that point, I was like, right, I can't live like this anymore. I just can't do it. It's so chaotic and my life was just like a roller coaster all the time. And I just got to a point where I think where a lot of us have that sort of epiphany where you go, I need to change. I can't do this.
It's interesting, isn't it? Like, for so many people, they will just roll along like that. And then there'll just be something that happens. And for you, we can actually be grateful to COVID because it's that was the pivotal moment. But sometimes that takes ages.
It was a lot of things. I got to that point anyway, but then the fact that I couldn't go out and I could sort of focus on myself for once. So, it's like, oh my God, I've got all this time now. Like, that's when I started to go, right, I want to help other people.
Yeah.
So, and then I started to do some online training courses through COVID. Okay. So that was sort of the start of it.
Was
really.
This, because I've read that is it neuro-linguistic programming you've done along with hypnotherapy?
Yeah, so I've done NLP. So neuro-linguistic programming. So I'm actually a trainer in that. So I've done extensive training in NLP and I'm a trainer in hypnotherapy as well.
What is NLP? So, I know, what actually does it entail?
So it's neuro-linguistic programming. So it's all about the neural network, so the brain, all about the unconscious mind. So basically what we do with NLP and hypnotherapy, we actually do the deep work where we can reprogram and rewire your beliefs, your values, emotions, memories. So everything. So you can imagine when we're born, we're built through nurture, aren't we? So nurture, environment, and life events that happen to us creates our belief systems. Yeah. So, and because you'll get a lot of people who'll say, oh, well, I'm just like this, or I was born like this, or, I'm not going to be able to change and stuff like that. you can change because you can rewire how you think and feel and your belief systems. It just takes quite a bit of work, but with NLP and hypnotherapy, you can do that.
And do you have quite a lot of custom for those two things? And do they run sort of hand in hand with the grief coaching, or are they quite separate?
Yeah, no. So how I've done it? So I've created a 12-week program called the Grief to Growth program. So because I'm a big believer in you can't make them changes. You can't start to reprogram and rewire until you've processed your grief and released your pain, because your mind and body won't let you. So you're stuck.
So that when you say processed your grief and released your pain, how does that look for I don't know, the average Joe coming to you? That's a very broad question, I realise, but...
Yeah, no, so in the 12-week Grief to Growth program, so the first 7-8 weeks is all about processing your grief, your trauma, any losses. So through different techniques, I help you dig deep into them old emotional wounds, things that we block and cover up and put into boxes and internalise.
We're good at that.
Dig deep and get... We're all good at that, aren't we? So we have to go in quite deep. So we have to process and let go of a lot of that heavy grief you're holding on to. You know, sometimes when you just feel really heavy, you're just like, oh, like I literally cannot take any more. You know, that feeling.
Yeah.
But that's your mind and body. It's not, what's happened there is you've gone into what we call survival mode. Do you know much about the nervous system?
Yeah. A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. So what will happen is our nervous system shuts down. It's like, oh my God, you can't take anymore. Boom, shut down. And that's when you literally can't function properly. So you're on that what we call functional freeze. So you're literally just surviving. Once you've processed and released a lot from the mind and body, because obviously trauma gets stuck in the body, yeah? So we've got to get it out. So once we've done that, then we can start to heal, yeah? And then we can start to grow.
What's the most common physical ailments that you see then with people when they are coming to you? If like you say, like the body is, we're psychosomatic, aren't we? We're brain and body, mind, physiology. What do you tend to see a lot of with grief or bereavement or trauma? What are those kind of physical manifestations? Are they just very varying, or do you see a lot of the same thing?
Well, obviously a lot of people, one of the main things people get is anxiety. Anxiety is a massive grief and trauma response. So anxiety, panic attacks, hyperventilation, that's a huge grief and trauma response.
Poor sleep.
Disturbed sleep, because all that's linked. So, not being able to sleep, intrusive thoughts, or again, even sleeping too much as well. You can't get out of bed. Obviously, you've got to remember, it impacts everyone differently. So there's no right or wrong.
Yeah.
How everyone's made up differently. Obviously, anger and stress as well, another huge one. So suppressed emotions is going to come out in anger. So, you're just stressed all the time. And so that's a huge one. I tend to get that a lot in men. Anxiety is more generally, I find, not always, but men do get anxiety, but a lot of women struggle with their anxiety.
Yeah. Do you find that your clients are, 50-50 men and women, or is it weighted more on one side than the other?
Yeah, I'd say it's around probably about 60-40, but I also coach children as well.
That was my next question, actually. Yeah, that's interesting. How that must be so completely different to working with adults.
Yeah. It is, yeah. Tend to use similar techniques, but not as probably intense. But yeah, children, you wouldn't believe, I'm sure you know, the amount of children I see that have experienced significant loss is just unbelievable. The amount of children, I've recently been funded by Children in Need.
Wow.
So, yeah, which has been incredible, which means I can offer, free support to children in the area. Parents, siblings, the loss that they've experienced. at such a young age, it's so sad.
Do you think with children, they are, is it true that they are more resilient? I mean, that's what we're sort of generally led to believe. But then I think, as again, culturally, we talk about this a lot. We are particularly interested in death education for young people. We think it should be delivered in schools. We think it should be part of the curriculum. I know they're trying to bring it in, but I think even
they're trying to bring it in, aren't they? I heard that it had been.
I think it's going to be very slow, and I think it will be very.
And I think it will be very limited on what they will discuss, which is not actually what children
they're going to have to get around all the religious and all the cultural barriers. When really we are advocates for let's teach young children that this is a life cycle that ends, like even just on a biological level. I think that, so I've got 2 young children, Carrie's got a young child, and we're both recently bereaved, which is ironic considering we do this podcast. But we've learned a lot about dealing with children and using very clear language, no ambiguity. And actually, my children, they took that news quite well, and that's made us more interested in doing it or delivering this type of work. But actually, we've come to realise that although we're mothers and that makes us equipped to deal with children, it's so broad, isn't it? Dealing with other people's children from different backgrounds. And so, for you, do you have a large clientele of children?
I do, yeah, I do. I have some children come to see me for mindset coaching, so they would have experienced a grief, not necessarily a death, but it might be like mum and dad splitting up, let's just say. That's a big one. Or, a loss of a pet, or getting bullied at school, or so they are experiencing grief, but they don't realise what it is, and they don't realise what all the emotions are attached to it.
Is it more they come to you if they're having like a crisis of confidence, or they feel like they haven't got the self-confidence that they need, and you can help build that for them? How to deal with how they feel.
Yeah, generally there's stuff going on at school, or they're not going to school, or they're misbehaving. It's coming through. Their emotions are coming through that, and then the teachers will sometimes reach out to me. It'll be directly from the school. It will be from parents. But what I tend to do is, the main thing I love doing with the kids is actually getting to the root cause, because once they understand why they're behaving that way, then then they can do something about it. Most of the time, they haven't got a clue. They're just like, why am I doing this? They don't understand. It's always from something.
I don't know if that's always different for adults.
No. Adults are the same. Some of the stuff I've read about sort of children and bereavement, I've read that sort of when they're small, and maybe it's addressed when they're younger, when they then become teenagers, sometimes then they might need to revisit some sort of grief counselling or support because things resurface at a later date.
Is that something you've found? Stages in their life, absolutely. I mean, I'm currently working with a couple of children at the moment who, unfortunately, their dad committed suicide. So we're dealing with the loss, but not the actual how it's happened.
2 different things.
So that we'll have to address that later, because they're just too young to process it. They're different ages, so we can't tell one without the other. So it's definitely going to come up. But I would most certainly say that every child, especially if they experience significant loss, needs help as a child, because if they don't, what will happen is it will manifest into different behaviours, and then that will come out in teenage and adulthood. When it can be too late then, and it's harder to deal with. So definitely get the help when they're young. 100%.
Can I ask you a question? It's something that, so my sister is a counsellor, therapist in bereavement and generally, and then we've got the word counsellor, therapist, then we've got coach. To all intents and purposes, are we talking about just delivering the same job here, just with a different title? What's your take on that?
I would say I would be more like a mentor. So a coach is, I'm helping them move their life forward. So although I'm helping them get to the root cause and process all the emotions and everything attached to it. I'm also giving them the tools to be able to rebuild their life and move their life forward. That's I think the difference in what I do. So I'm a wellness coach as well. So I do mindset training, health coaching, life coaching, personal evolutionary coaching. So what I do is look at their whole life, their diet, their self-care, their fitness, because what the vitamins they're taking, everything. So I'm looking at the whole package, not just that.
Yeah.
I look at every layer of their life.
Yeah. Which makes a lot of sense. We often talk about this when if you've got multiple things wrong with you, and I use these inverted quotes, if you've got different conditions, your doctors will be 1, 2, 3 different doctors for each ailment, when really we're dealing with one body, aren't we? We're dealing with one body, one mind, and it
need a holistic approach.
Yeah, it makes sense to deal with that as a whole. Absolutely. I think when we know people's diet is poor, or they're not getting enough exercise, or not getting enough sunlight, or they're not getting enough, they're deficient in vitamin D or whatever it's going to be. If you team that with a nice healthy dose of bereavement as well, what you've got is, a massive issue, haven't you? So I think it's quite interesting that you.
Well, generally. Yeah, I was going to say, generally the reason why you're doing that, why you've created bad habits, or why you're feeling that way, is because of a grief.
Yeah.
That something's triggered it. So that's what I'm saying. So that grief could have started 15 years ago. Let's get right back to that. What triggered these behaviours? What triggered all these bad habits you've created? Where's it come from?
Yeah.
So we've got to break it all down. So we've got to break the bad habits, break the toxic cycles, and create good habits and, daily rituals and self-care. So I think that's the difference with me. I've brought all my training in, and I look at absolutely every layer of their life.
So that leads me quite nicely on to ask you, if somebody wants to see you, if they want to make an appointment with you, how's the best way to contact you?
Best thing to do is just go on my website.
Do you want to give us that website?
Yeah, Love Life Coaching -events with an s.co.uk.
Okay.
And then on there's a Let's Talk. Click on the Let's Talk, and then you can fill in a form. Or I've got an 0800 number on there, but.
And people can find you on the socials as well, can't they?
Yeah, Facebook.
Just repeat how somebody would find you on social media.
So you'd put in Lucy Cole, and then it's Grief, Trauma, Healing and Wellness Coach.
Okay.
So that's my Facebook page.
And just going back briefly to, you mentioned that you got some funding from Children in Need, which is amazing. Well done. If there is a child in need, is there a way they can come through that charity to see you, or do they get in touch with you directly?
Yeah, just get in contact with me directly. Obviously, there's eligibility requirements. It's specifically for children that have lost parents or siblings.
Okay.
Because obviously I only get a certain amount, so I tend to keep it for them severe, significant cases.
Yeah, okay.
But anything like that, you just contact me directly.
Okay. I know as well, Lucy, that you've got quite a big event coming up. You're from the West Midlands, and so your event is this month. We're in November now. Do you want to just tell us about the event, where it is, what you're doing, how people can get in touch with your tickets, etc.?
Yeah, thank you. So this is my first ever growth, healing and connection event. So it's a little bit like the Mind, Body, Spirit, but I wanted to just, do something a bit different. So it's at Sutton Coldfield Town Hall, Sunday the 23rd of November, 11 a.m. till 5 p.m.
I'm just writing it down because I'm going to come.
The day will consist of, so I've got about 25 different stands there, where I've got like holistical health specialists, natural healers, psychic mediums. So, a real selection of people there to help you on your holistical health journey.
Just interestingly, I wonder, I wasn't really expecting that from you, just based on what you do. So, you obviously have an interest and a belief in that type of work as well.
I do.
Okay.
Massively believe in holistical health, and ever you can heal yourself naturally. Absolutely.
And when you said like mediumship and Reiki and crystal healing.
Spirituality. I mean, absolutely. For me, that was really, really helped me on my healing journey to connect and just connect with myself and be more spiritual.
I'm sorry, I did interrupt you and you were plugging your event. I really am sorry. I just got really interested in.
That has led me on to actually. So I've also got different workshops going on. So all the tickets are £10. You can get them on Eventbrite, but all the workshops are included. So I've got yoga and meditation workshop. I've got a deep emotional release Reiki workshop, and I've got a sound bath workshop happening.
Nice.
And then also I'm doing a motivational talk at 2:00. And I'm also launching my new book.
Which is called?
So it's called A 30-Step Guide on How to Heal, Grow and Love Life Again.
Because we do love a book. We love a book.
There you go. I've got my leaflet there.
Lovely.
Beautiful.
Right next to me.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah. So it's a 30-step guide on how to find healing and then grow. But it's in different sections. But it's also got my personal journey of my grief, my healing and growth as well.
And that book is available from?
It's available on Amazon from the 19th of November.
Okay.
And obviously that the 23rd of November is like my official book launch. So
yeah. Do you do any?
I've got a lot going on.
Yeah, loads. Do you do any online delivery? Just obviously because our podcast goes out to everybody. We know that a lot of the physical delivery is within the West Midlands area. But, if people want to access your work, is there a way that they can do this online?
Yeah, I do online. I deliver my 12-week programme online as well. I mean, I do work out of a clinic twice a week where I do in person. And then I'm in schools other times and stuff and doing online. Online is just as successful. I mean, I do prefer to meet people in person because it's just more personal, but my online courses are just as successful. So,
brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. I'm just looking through my notes quickly. If somebody wanted, like we know a little bit about your journey, but there were obviously people that inspired you, presumably authors that you read or coaching programs that you use. If anybody's interested in those, have you got anyone that you would recommend reading or looking into?
Yeah, I've actually put that at the back of my book, more reading, guidance, support and more reading. People that have inspired me on my journey are people like, I don't know if you know David Kessler, he's a grief specialist, he's American. A lot of them are American actually. Also, I love Tony Robbins and Mel Robbins.
Yeah.
Absolutely love them.
Yeah.
In fact, what Tony Robbins is trained in is what I'm trained in. So move aside, Tony.
She's coming through. She's coming in. The British are coming.
We have got quite a listenership in America, haven't we?
Yeah.
So we've got quite a few listeners from America.
We need to. So what we could do with doing is having all of those authors that you've just mentioned and anybody else. Maybe you could send me a message and then I can just use hashtags and things like that on the social media.
Absolutely, yeah. Another one that who's good as well is, I don't know if you've heard of Carolyn Strewson.
No, I haven't.
She's particularly in trauma and narcissistic abuse. So I've done some training with her. She's really good.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay.
And also, just to say, next year, I've actually just launched another business, Love Life Coaching Training Academy. So next year, I'm going to be creating training to train people as grief and trauma healing and wellness coaches.
Brilliant.
So, yes, I'm going to...
Where can we... Have you got information about that online already?
It's in its infancy. I've started it, but it will be. I'm hoping to have launched that by like the middle of next year.
Brilliant.
So
okay, amazing.
So basically, people can do what I'm doing, and we can get it. We need it everywhere.
We can heal the world.
There's a song there somewhere.
Yeah.
So we've got a couple of more questions.
Yeah.
Before we let you go. I wrote this down because I thought, I hope it's not a really difficult question for you, but for anybody that's like having a really bad time right now, they might be listening to this, they might have just dipped into our podcast on the off chance they've just lost somebody. What would you say is the first thing that they should do when they're feeling like that?
What I would say is allow yourself to feel. What people tend to do is avoid and block as much as possible. So we will keep, there's so many things we do, distract, keep busy. We mentioned earlier about substance abuse, and there's lots of things we tend to do to stop ourselves from feeling that pain. Well, actually, we need to allow ourselves to feel.
Yeah.
And yes, it's painful, but it's part of the grieving process.
Yeah.
It's going to catch up with you anyway. So if you're feeling sad or you're feeling whatever emotion you're feeling, feel it, release it, let it out, because your mind and body needs to.
Yeah.
And don't beat yourself up and go, what's wrong with me? I shouldn't be doing this. I should be okay now. No, there's no time on grieving. There's no right way. We all grieve differently. So just allow yourself. Give yourself permission to feel.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Lucy, it's been absolutely fascinating. Thank you so much for your time today. Really, really wish you all the best with the event you've got coming up. I think Carrie's going to try and get
I'm going to try and get down to you if I can.
Oh, I'd love that. I'm always here if you need a chat, by the way.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you, dear listeners, for tuning into It's a Death Sentence. Please keep listening to our weekly episodes.
And if you like our show, please like, share and subscribe.
We are dying to talk to you.